to the Burner Turner Show. I'm your host, Wayne Turner. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast on applepodcast.com and also tune into the Field of 68. Right now, we're going to talk about the recap of the Kentucky-Carolina game. As we all know, Kentucky lost and has dropped their record to 1-5 in the season. I know it was disappointing, but there was some good in Kentucky. I think where they went wrong was down low inside interior. They really got exposed down low. Carolina's bigs were able to catch the ball whenever they wanted to, wherever they wanted to, and they scored easy buckets. To give up 36 points in the paint is definitely something you don't want to do as a team. You want to make them shoot from the perimeter as a defensive team. But unfortunately, Kentucky was very unsuccessful with doing that. But with that said, there were some great things that came out of the game with Kentucky. Davion Mintz really played well. He shot the ball well, played a lot aggressive on offense. I thought Devin Askews came in and definitely gave the Cats a lift in the first half and just looked like a better player. He looked like he was more confident, and he looked like that he was trying to do what the coaches were asking him to do. Terrence Clark, I thought, struggled. I thought it hurt him a little bit in the game because he wasn't able to be as productive as he usually is as far as offensively and also defensively. I think he's a guy who could get out there and rebound a lot more for them on the defensive end. And then Kentucky's able to get out on their fast break and score easy points. Every time they got on a fast break throughout that game, usually something good came out of it. And Kentucky's really at their best when they're going up and down, and it's a fast-paced game. But I think they just let UNC dictate the tempo of the game. And if you let UNC dictate the tempo of the game, it's going to be a tough game to win. UNC is predicated off offensive rebounds. They gave up 15 offensive rebounds. And if you give Carolina, who's normally in top 5 and sometimes number 1 in the nation in offensive rebounding, they're more than likely going to win the game because that's the strength that they play to. And I got to give credit to Walton. Walton from UNC came in. He hit some big threes in the second half, and that definitely opened up that lead against Kentucky. I think, for me, the disappointing part to see was when they did make their run. It was 20-6. Kentucky never really responded. They showed the immaturity of a young team. And moving forward, I think they could be a team that can make the tournament. It's very early. Still haven't gotten to conference play, but they definitely are a team that can grow a lot more and is going to grow a lot more, as you've seen in the first half of the UNC game. And they'll have a better conference season than they are having in this preseason. And you got to realize they really didn't have a long preseason. You know, they got right into it. And a lot of guys didn't get a chance to develop the strength that they needed to play at this level. As you can see, the Carolina bigs were a lot stronger, a lot bigger than Kentucky's bigs. And in that area, I think they need to improve in. But one of the things that stands out to me the most is that Cal usually carries a significant shot blocker. I'm not comparing anyone to the greats that came through like a Willie Cauley-Stein or Karl Anthony Towns, but for all the mistakes that Kentucky makes on the perimeter, those guys were able to block shots and erase all those mistakes that was happening in the game. And as you saw, the back screen from Carolina was very, very effective. And that's just communication and talking to your teammates, but also trusting your teammates. And that's just one of the bigger issues that they have. But I still have a whole lot of confidence that they will make the tournament. They can be a threat in the tournament, but it's all about figuring out that point guard piece. I thought Terrence Clark never really controlled the tempo of the game when he was at the point guard spot. I thought Devin Askews did a great job, and I thought Davion Mintz did a great job with controlling the tempo. I think the ball needs to be in one of those guys' hands for them to be successful moving on. throughout the rest of the season. Now, here's my conversation with Antoine Walker. But before you listen, make sure you subscribe to the Burner Turner Show on applepodcast.com. Welcome back to the Burner Turner Show. I'm your host, Wayne Turner. Got somebody very, very special on the show today. Played for the Boston Celtics, was drafted 1996, the sixth pick, 12-year NBA vet, 1996 NCAA champion, 2006 NBA world champion. My brother, someone who definitely, introduced me to the professional life, growing up as a basketball player, especially at Kentucky. One of my favorite players, the best player I probably ever played with in my career, Antoine Walker. Before we get into this, make sure you like, subscribe on applepodcast.com to the show. Bro, good to have you in today, man. I appreciate you doing this. I know you're a busy guy.
No, baby. Thanks for having me, man. I'm happy to be a part of the show. It's a pandemic, man. Nobody busy right now.
Right, but everybody acting like they are, though.
Yeah, everybody acting like they are.
They can't jump on calls, but it's all right. I got you on, man. That's definitely means a lot to me. And I was thinking, before you even came on, we was riding down that road to Richmond, and I remember you trying to make your decision whether you was gonna stay in school, whether you was gonna
make right. That's crazy. That was one of the hardest decisions I had to make, because we all knew that we was going to be back in the championship game again, have a chance to win it. Obviously, our bond and how tight we was as a team, and we had got through it. Like, we knew how to get through Coach P. We knew what we can get away with, what we couldn't. So school was so much fun. So it was tough. Probably if I didn't have my daughter, I probably would have stayed. But I had to put that in consideration, having a 2-year-old daughter and my family. But definitely, I always tell people that I was coming back. I wasn't really thinking about coming out. I was going to come back and see if we could do it again.
Right. And I remember having that conversation with you, and then, things changed. You had to put some, some things family-wise in perspective, and I definitely understand that. But I always, when people talk about basketball, I always mention you because I've experienced so much of playing against pros through you. I remember you invited me to Chicago your first year out of, in the pros, and, invite me to the Pro-Am leagues and get me around all these guys. And, I always try to tell people Twan was already kind of pro ready. He knew what it was like to play against pros already. So it was just a matter of time of him maturing and being ready to do that. So, looking at this team this year, always, go back to you because I know, you started, you was McDonald's All-American, came out, but you had guys in front of you kind of, showing you that way, but you still wanted some action early. When did you finally mature from freshman year to sophomore year and realize your role as a player at Kentucky?
It took a while. I would say, when I came in, Roger Rose was kind of the guy that was in front of me. I was kind of supposed to be a small forward, and he was in front of me, and he had a chance to go pro. He was a big-time talent, coming out of high school. So, and he was from the New York area with Coach. So Coach had a certain loyalty to Rod and wanted to make sure he was successful. And it took a while because the crazy part is that our first 2 exhibition games, I had like 20 both games. So I was like, man, this college easy. You get those exhibition games, you think the college is really, really easy. And then we got to the real game after playing like 27, 28 minutes a night in those exhibition games. I played like 10 once the real season started. And, it just wasn't what I expected. So it took a while. And another thing that was crazy, and you probably can allude to this, it was hard to get in the type of shape that you need to be to play for Coach Pitino. a lot of people don't understand. It takes you a long time to get into that shape that's needed to press 94 feet. And it was even harder for you being the user point guard. So you know it was a little harder for you than it was for me. But it took me a while. I would say February, maybe towards the end of the SEC season. I started to, my body started to change. I started to feel a lot better. I felt more athletic. I felt stronger. And once we got to the SEC tournament, I got my opportunity. And Coach gave me an opportunity and ended up having a great SEC tournament, getting MVP of the tournament. And from there, it was history. My confidence level went super sky high to get ready for the next season and obviously going into our 96 season. But it took a while. I would say it took me, I got to school in August all the way to February just to get myself, my body right to be able to play in Rick Pitino's system.
Right, and definitely the preseason conditioning was something that was definitely going to test
Yeah.
you mentally. And I remember the first conditioning session. We had the down and backs at 20, and I went like 100 miles per hour.
We told you got a long way. We're a long way from home, baby. But you was a point guard, baby. That was your thing.
Right. I was trying to lead the pack, jump out early and show my leadership. Oh, man. Somebody please get him before he kill himself.
That was hilarious. You were all right about that.
I still remember that day.
Yeah, but I think that was the big thing. I mean, I also think about Allen Edwards. He came in as a point guard and could never get in the proper shape that was needed to be a 6'6" point guard. And Al was McDonald's All-American, big time player coming out of Miami, Florida. But it took him forever to get in the shape that was needed to play in Kentucky. The whole first year was kind of like a whole missed year for him, just trying to get through. He was too tired. I remember Al used to call him sleepy. We used to call him sleepy my freshman year because he slept all the time. He didn't want to go out. He didn't want to kick it. And it was just because it was that hard. The conditioning was that hard. The demand on you to work on your body every day. So people don't understand the demand that Coach Pitino really put on us.
Right, exactly. I mean, and it was true. Like we went through all that training and preseason conditioning, and it still wasn't game like. You still had to get in game shape. I mean, you was in somewhat shape and built some strength, but still wasn't game shape, coming off screens, defending screens, moving laterally, all that.
Not like he wanted.
Played a role as well. But just moving forward, I'm gonna back up a little bit because I always had to say this to you. Like when I was in that Pro-Am Summer League, I found out later on that you was talking trash to Tim Hardaway, one of the first pros I ever had to face. Hey, he made that night hard for me too, Twan. Hey, Nazi, I'm gonna tell you how it came to me. So Nazi, that day of the game, I knew we was playing Tim and him. Nazi, the day of the game, he comes to me. All right, I'm just gonna let you know. Twan was talking junk to Tim earlier today in the gym about how you gonna do this and do that. So just be ready for Tim to go at you.
I remember that. Did he give you a 40 ball?
Tim had 60. But listen.
He did give you the 60.
Listen, he didn't give me 60. It wasn't just me guarding him. Everybody had a little piece of Tim that day. And then I like to comment to people, I had 45, so. But we lost.
Yeah, we lost.
He gave me some great advice after that game, but I had to get that out because I told Nas, I said, man, wait till I see Twan, but I never got a chance.
Man, listen.
I had about 50, 62. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Something like that.
Right.
But that set you up. I had the banana in the tailpipe on you that time.
Could at least
that was a good game. That was a classic game, though.
It was a good game. No, I tell everybody, that was the first time I ever played with pros. Juwan Howard, Michael Finley, Ron Harper. Those are the guys that stand out, a lot in that situation. I had to back up a minute before that got away from me. But we're gonna move forward. and we talked about your transition from high school, but even going to 96, I
Mhm.
think about the start of that. Like, you didn't even start. And, you know, to this day, I kind of wondered why that was. But then when I think about it, when I thought about it, I said, okay, well, Twan wanted to play on the perimeter a lot. But then when you move down low, something changed with your whole game.
Yep.
When did you realize, okay, I could be good down low as well as outside?
It was crazy. And it kind of goes back, and not to go too far back, but when I came out of high school, I wanted to be a point guard. So I felt like that was the easiest way for me to get pro. And there was a couple schools that was recruiting me to play point guard, like UNLV, Arizona. Like, it was a couple schools that was like, yo, we're gonna put you at point. And that kind of really intrigued me. But my junior year going into my senior year, AAU was different. You had to play with your state. So at camp. So I went to ABCD camp, All American camp, and usually they mix it up where you play with different states and different guys. But for this, whatever, the NCAA changed the rules this year, and you had to play with your state. So the 8, 9 guys that went down to camp, the point guard that we took down with us messed his ankle up the first day. So I got an opportunity to play point guard um, at camp and went crazy for the first 3, 4 days until I ran out of gas. And that just took my national ranking from like top 20. I left there probably 3, 4 in the country. And that was really like a really, really big moment for me. So when I went to college, I was thinking about, yeah, look, I'm going to be in a guard spot. But Jamal Mashburn was one of my favorite players. So he was one of the reasons why I went to Kentucky, because I knew coach was like, he's leaving. You're going to have an opportunity. He gave me his number. I wore 24. Like, I was going there like, yeah, this is, to replace Mash. So it just was one of those things. But my game, I don't know what coach saw or what he knew. But in high school, sometimes you're taller than most kids. And so you do have a post-up game in high school, but it wasn't my main thing. But when I got to college, I just thought that, coach was like, look, you're going to get better opportunities. You're going to be quicker than most guys at the 4 position. You're going to be able to show your full skill set. I'm going to move you down into the 4. And, with me and Walt being like how we were, both of us could shoot the 3. Both of us was real versatile. And shoot, you can even put Mark Pope in there. All those guys can dribble and do some things too. So it just kind of worked out for the best. And I just started working. And you know who got me really, really good in the post? You probably remember this, Wayne. Winston Bennett. Winston Bennett. Winston Bennett got me tough down there. And a lot of people don't know that. Just working, you know how he was in practice. You know how he was in individual instruction, how he banged it. You know how you had to work on that bag and bang. So every day, I just started getting better from the block, but really just working with him and developing a few moves, getting the jump hook, getting the up and under, face up, a few things. So that's where it came from. But I can't take no credit for that. I got to get that to Coach Pitino. I don't know what he saw or what it was, but he moved me down to the 4th spot.
Yeah, and I think that was a very pivotal move for us because you were our best rebounder on that team. I think your numbers started to go up even a little more, and you realize, how effective you was at helping our team win, and that it looked like you just started enjoying it down there when you realized no one couldn't check you down there as well. So, no,
Yeah,
I definitely see your game turn around as soon as you went down low in that post, and then I think you started the rest of the season once you did.
yeah.
But moving forward, you went to Kentucky, and then after that with the Celtics. How was this? How was Boston? Compared to Chicago, how was Boston? I could see that you enjoyed Boston a lot. Like, how was that
Um,
for you when you first got
Boston was good because it's a sports town. I'm a sports guy, and not just basketball, baseball, football, whatever. All sports I like. And when I got to Boston, it's a sports town. The fans are really engaged. They know what's going on. They know who are the sports celebrities in the city. They embrace hard work. If you look at, not to look at Walt getting us saying I love Walter just because his hard work, and diving on the floor, coming up with loose balls, they appreciate that. And it's not a lot of places in the league that appreciate the total package of the game. And one thing that's great about Boston, they know the nuances of the game, which is really important especially for a guy like myself who loves to play the game. And that's why I kind of say Chicago. Chicago's a basketball city. It is, it's a sports town. People here are crazy about their sports. You got 2 baseball teams, a basketball team, football. You got all the sports here too. So they both kind of was in the basketball part and the sports part was great. Cultural wise, off the court, I think it's always who you meet. And I met a few of your friends, people that you knew from the inner city of Boston, that kind of made me feel at home while I was down there. And as you get to know a few people locally and kind of space out, it became home. To this day, I still consider Boston my second home, just because of spending 8 years of my career there, how I'm treated when I go back there. So it always has a special place in my heart.
Cool. Appreciate you sharing that. And Chicago. I've going to Chicago and then being in Boston. It does have that same, professional team atmospheres. You all got your Blackhawks. We got our Bruins.
Right. It's just everything. We diehards. Like people are diehard Patriots fans and Red Sox fans. Look, we had to wait 100 years to get our championship with the Cubs. And that's one of the best places to go see a baseball game.
Right.
And it's sold out every game. And we last 4 years we've been able to have a good team, but we waited a long time for that moment.
Right.
So it's equal to that. And a lot of people don't, and you don't get that in a lot of basketball cities, but Boston's one of the top 3-4 cities for sports.
Now, you was traded from the Celtics for about 2 years, then you went back. Like, I know for me, I was happy to see you go back because, I'm used to Twan in Boston. And I've been a Boston fan, and when you, Walter, and Ron got there, I was, pretty much, it was like certified stamp. I almost went and got the tattoo. But you went back. So I know it was business move, but I don't understand why trade you for 2 years and then bring you back after that. So, how does your role change?
Well, it really didn't change. They were in a position, and Danny Ainge, as people gotta understand this, and this is with sports in general. When a guy, a GM, or somebody that's in control take over something, he like to bring in his people. I don't think Danny Ainge was a big fan of my game for whatever reason. I don't think it was personal. I just think it was probably his own personal opinion. Hey, look, he liked something else, and he traded me. But now we get 2 years removed from it, and I get an opportunity. I get a phone call, and it was funny. I got a phone call from the people in the front office, and they said, "Would you come back to Boston?" I was in Atlanta. Atlanta's a nice city. I was doing my thing, averaging 20 and 10, but we were losing, and I was going into I was in the last year of my contract, so I knew pretty much I was going to get another deal. It just was a matter of what it is, but it was really no purpose for me to be in Atlanta. We weren't going to the playoffs. I was just going to finish out the season. We were going to win probably 15, 20 games. So the opportunity presented itself. Boston was 2 games under 500. They were right in the hunt to get into the playoffs. I had liked the team. It was a different team when I left. When I think about Ricky Davis, Gary Payton, Al Jefferson, they had a different type of team. Good young guys, Tony Allen. So they had a lot of young, good players and some veteran players. So I was like, you know what, let me just go back. And after talking to Danny, we kind of worked out our differences, and the opportunity presented itself, and we was able to go back, and I think we won 12 or 13 straight, something like that, and ended up winning the division and being a 3rd seed and get upset. And then we got upset in the first round of the playoffs. I think it was Reggie Miller's last year with the Pacers. We went 7 games and ended up getting upset. But after that, I thought I was going to sign back. To be honest with you, I thought I was going to spend the rest of my years as a Celtic. I thought coming back the second time, I thought after we won the division,
I know we was disappointed in the playoffs, but I thought that we were going to come back with that crew. We were right there, competing with everybody else, you know. So we was like, man, we think we're going to be able to come back and get to free agency and no phone call from the Celtics. And that was a low blow. They did not want to lock it to a long-term deal. And so I ended up going around finding, and that's how I ended up signing with the Miami Heat. But yeah, I went back. It really was, to be honest, and there's no way you can really kind of sugarcoat it. It's really just Danny Ainge, to be honest with you. Wasn't the front office, wasn't the ownership group. It was Danny and how he wanted to run teams. So, I mean, he was able to get Kevin and Ray, so he looked like a genius. And got his championship. So, but it was cool. But I mean, like I said, I till to this day, I still consider Boston my second home. And it's funny. Just I think was it 2 years ago they put Paul Pierce's number in the rafters, and that's the first time I had been back and been around, Danny Ainge and those guys, and it was a good time for the weekend. So we kind of got a lot of that negativity out of us.
Right. And hey, in my opinion, hey, I know you didn't bring one home to them, but they definitely should put number 8 up there as well, because you gave the fans a lot of excitement, and people still – I know my friends still ask about you, miss watching you play on TV with the famous wiggle. So you definitely –
I got the numbers to get up there. Yeah.
What's that?
I said I got the numbers to go up in the rafters. My Boston numbers are still strong.
No doubt.
It's cool. I mean, I still, one thing I just share this story real quick is just like, when Kemba Walker signed with the Boston Celtics, he hit me on Instagram, DM me and asked me, was it okay? I thought that was one of the coolest things, you know what I'm saying? Because there's been other players to wear number 8 and, but just to have a guy like that, an all-star guard, appreciate what I did for the Celtics, to ask for my permission to wear number 8, I thought was really cool and made me feel really special. So, I want to big shouts out to Kemba for doing that.
That is cool. That was cool to do that. But you moving forward, I know, we running on time. Have you seen the current Kentucky team this year? Have you seen any games?
Yeah. I got a real good look at them. Notre Dame game probably wasn't the best game to watch, but I really got a chance to check them out. I'm assuming you're going to ask me what's my opinion of them. Well, I'll just keep going. It's different. Talented group. I mean, I think that obviously they're young, they're athletic, they're long. But, at some point it just hit a wall. Because, Wayne, like this, I mean, I know these guys are potentially, and you look at these publications that they're supposed to be these high draft picks, but they're not ready yet. And it's tough because I know how Kyle recruits, and and it's tough because Kyle's got probably 50 pros. He's got 50 pros, so it's hard to go against what he says. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. But this is the first year to talk about this team. He don't have any sophomores or juniors or seniors. If you notice that in all his young teams, he's always sprinkled in a sophomore, a junior, or maybe a senior. You know what I mean? Even last year, I think, what was it, Travis Reed, what was his name? Like those guys getting the seniors and stuff to be around along the team. This team is all young guys, man. This gonna be tough. They don't shoot the 3 very well. They got some holes defensively, and they don't have a point guard. One thing about Cal, and remember I told you this, and you're down in Kentucky, you're going to hear this. Cal's always had an outstanding point guard. This is the first year he dropped the ball and didn't have a point guard. Look back all the way from Derrick Rose all the way through the John Walls, the Teagues, all the guys that he's had at point guard, even the Harris twins. He's always had solid point guard play, and he don't have that now. De'Aaron Fox. Think about it. When you sit down and you look at the list of point guards he's had over the last 10, 12 years, you'll see why this team is struggling.
He don't have the point guard that he usually has.
Do you think he can find that guy this year? I mean, I know, everybody says Askews is young. I mean, all the guards come in young.
Everybody. I mean, that's not an excuse at this point. You know what I mean? I just think it's just different. I think we look at these guys, I think they're just not ready. I think they're not ready yet. I think you look at Duke. Duke is going to struggle this year. They're not ready. They're young guys. North Carolina's not that great. So some of the big powerhouse schools that we've seen in the past dominate college basketball are now back in the pack. Even though they're getting the best players, they're still back in the pack. Sorry about that. They're still back in the pack.
Right.
But this could be a challenging year for Cal. I don't know if they make the tournament, man. But the SEC is watered down. It's not what it used to be. This is a down year for the SEC. And then what happened to the kid in Florida? Florida was probably going to be really good, but they probably lost their best player for the year with him collapsing on the floor the other night. So they'll have a chance to make the tournament. They won't make any noise this year. But Cal is good at getting his team better and better. And I actually have to give him credit. He didn't do his team any justice with the schedule that they played. They played some tough opponents.
Well, I mean, they were right there neck and neck with Kansas. And, like Kyle was preaching, they just got punked at the end. And from what I saw, they just kind of gave up toward the end.
That's when you don't have that senior leadership of guys that's been in the trenches before that can help the young guys. That's the key thing. This is the first year that he hasn't had some sophomores and some juniors to throw in there with those freshmen and his point guard play. You're gonna be watching all year. You're gonna be like, man, this is what Twan said. They ain't got.
Well, to lose 4 straight, I mean, that definitely doesn't happen in the Big Blue Nation. How do you, like Cal's talking about, okay, we're going to teach them toughness. Like, how is toughness taught? That I'm just thinking about that because, at some point, enough is enough. But how do you teach toughness?
Well, you hate because he's had so much success, but I mean, this is one of those times where, you can't teach toughness. It's got to be instilled in him. You got to coach. You got to coach your way out of this one. And not saying he doesn't coach his way, but Kentucky's had, a lot of talent over the years. So sometimes talent outweighs that. But this is a team you got to coach. You got to try to minimize their mistakes. You got to continue to encourage. And you got to hope they can hit a run. I think they're talented enough to do it. But you also got guys now, this is the first time you've lost 4 straight. It's no fans. It's no encouragement. Right now, you may not get no fans. All the energy has to come from within, from with you. And like you can get a home game and play in front of 24,000, that's not happening.
Right. Exactly.
Right now, in this pandemic.
It definitely plays a role.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So it's not happening.
But
so those are some of the things to think about. But it'll be interesting, though. But I think this is going to be a very challenging year. I'm not going to put any predictions on it. I haven't seen them enough. Like I said, I got a great look at them in the Notre Dame game. I'd like to see them a couple more games before I actually think if they can make it to the tournament. But like I said, the SEC is down this year. So they have a fair chance of being very competitive in conference.
Right. And, but thinking about their team, they are young. They do have 2 senior transfers. When I think about coming to Kentucky, I was a McDonald's All-American, just like yourself. You was a sophomore. Al was a sophomore. There was a lot of younger guys around me. We had some upperclassmen, but when I think about it, it was mainly you mostly being verbally vocal and pushing me to be the best I can. So, for me, it just confuses me why none of the seniors don't take it upon themselves. Well, at least it's not noticeable on TV. I haven't been to a practice or anything like that, but it's not noticeable that they're in these freshmen' ear about what they need to be doing to pick up their game.
Well, I think that's where, that's where assistant coach, and no offense, that's where you lose. The Kenny Payne is huge. Kenny's a guy that's going to stay on guys, going to challenge guys to be the best they can be. That was one of his best trademarks, is working with guys and getting the maximum ability out of them. I've sat in those practices and watched him work those bigs and how much pressure he puts on those bigs to deliver for the team. So I've seen that. And, case in point, look at Nick Richards. Developed over 3 years, ended up getting drafted in the second round. A guy that was, not that good, but continued to work at it until he got better. So you got to look at those moments. So that's why I think they're going to miss a Kenny Payne at. But this is what the Kentucky fans signed up for. When you give Cal the type of extension that they gave him, and not to say it's his fault that, but it's no pressure on Cal. You give him 80, 90 million. He's going to continue with the same formula because he's a player's coach first. So he's going to push the kids to go to the NBA and fulfill their dreams. He's going to continue to recruit the best players in the country. Let's be honest. So he's going to continue to get those players. So you're going to continue to see one-and-done guys. You're not going to see guys get to develop. And it's crazy. If these guys don't have a good year, I guarantee you still 3-4 of them go pro. Because that's what they came there to go pro. And that's what's preached to them. So and Cal over-recruits a lot too. So he recruits over guys immediately to bring in new guys. So those are all things that we're going to watch. His whole formula and everything is getting tested. And it's getting tested, obviously, because of losing 4 games in a row and the way they lose it. There's only so many times you can go in the media and say we're young and we're not tough. And a lot of that stuff got to come within.
Right. And, one of the weaknesses I see is just mixing it up down low. I mean, getting in there and rebounding. One of the things I actually started to enjoy as a guard was getting the rebound myself and not having to wait for the outlet and getting it up and down the court. And that's just something, like you said earlier, that's missing, like De'Aaron Fox, Brandon Knight, obviously John Wall, and even Eric Bledsoe when he was at the one. You could see the change in pace.
Tyler Ulis.
Game. Tyler Ulis, exactly.
Oh, he's had something that you out there in the media, you in Kentucky, is something that people got to realize. I haven't had the opportunity yet to get on TV and talk about Kentucky ball, but this is the first time I can talk about it. They don't have a point guard. They don't have that point guard play that's going to control things, get the ball to the right people, and this is something Cal's never had before. He's in uncharted territory, and it'll be interesting to see how he makes that adjustment. So
how soon that will be and who will it be is the question.
the jury's out, nigga. I couldn't tell you. The jury's
out. Hey, we figured it out in '96. Tony Delk is not the point guard, right?
Right. Yeah. Hey, they figured that out in 2 games. In 2 games. Well, we figured it out in 1 game, but it took Coach 2 games to get him up out of there.
Right. Nah, bro, I ain't gonna hold you too long. I got a couple more for you, and then I'm gonna let you go. You did a documentary. I actually got a chance to see the screening probably about 6 years ago, and I never heard back from it then. It's such a intriguing and inspiring documentary. I think everybody in the world should see it. I mean, it's very inspiring, very encouraging, you can learn a lot from it. And I was just wondering what that progress was with it.
Well, I used the documentary over the last 5 years. I've been very fortunate and blessed to have the opportunity to be able to go back to colleges, universities across the country and speak about financial literacy to student athletes. This past year was the first year I got my dream came true. I did the NBA. So I got to do all 30 teams in the NBA. We got to 26 out of 30 before the pandemic happened. But my goal was to go back in front of my peers and be able to, share my testimony with guys. And it was a dream come true. The guys were very receptive to me. They were very energetic and happy that I was in the room. So it really made for great, great meetings and great sessions. So I'm still excited about that and hopefully continue after this pandemic to work with the league. But the documentary itself helped me get those gigs. And that's what it was used for. Morgan Stanley had the rights to it. I just got it back last year. We had a 1-year non-compete with it, but I want to change the ending up to more current. Not a lot. I don't want to take away from what we already done, but people need to know what you're doing now and where you're at now. So we're gonna add that to the doc, and we're looking for a platform to put it on, whether it's gonna be iTunes, Netflix. A lot of those places like to film their own docs, but if we're gonna find a place to put it on so everybody gets an opportunity to see it. Because really, it's only been I did 7 premieres, and there's probably only been a couple thousand people that saw it. So that's a good thing. So it'll be fresh in a lot of people's minds. So, but I'm glad you asked me that. We're trying to make that happen soon, within the next 3 months. That's something that's it's just been so hard with this pandemic to just get things in order, find the right time. A lot of people don't want to work. A lot of people not working don't want to be around people. So this pandemic has affected it, but it'll be out in 2021 for sure.
Right. And going back in the last question, going back to the pandemic, like playing in these, we've been in those AAU. I mean, it's AAU a long time ago, but we've been in them gyms. We've been to them schools that, well, I wouldn't say schools because everybody came and saw us play, but we was in them buildings where, wasn't a whole lot of fan base, and, you didn't get a lot of oohs and ahs, especially after we left Kentucky. I mean, it was noticeable that Kentucky was one of the places where we definitely had that a crazy fan base. How do you get yourself up for a game then? I mean, as a young player, how do you get yourself up and say, okay, there's no crowd today?
I think that was a challenging part. You were speaking towards what they had to do at the bubble, right?
Absolutely.
In the bubble. Yeah, so.
And college basketball as well. I mean, they don't have no.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what you just said, Wayne. Think about this. Put this in perspective. Think about how good our practices was, how tough they was every day. You kind of got to get yourself in that mind frame. You came to practice. You was coming to practice. You had to kind of go at Anthony Epps. You had to go at TD. I mean, that was your mindset. And no matter what, we're going to hug up and we're going to be brothers when we're done. But when we get to practice, you got to come with it. You fight for playing time. You fight for perfection. You know what I mean? You're trying to get better. So I think that's where you got to dig from. And I think if you look at that's why the Lakers won. LeBron went in there also focused like, look, I'm leaving my family at the crib. I'm locking in. I'm a hoop. You know how it is. It's like going on the AAU circuit for 2 months. You finna hit this circuit. You finna get to all these tournaments, and you finna build your name up. You know how it was. I'm finna get on this circuit and do my thing. And I think that's the mentality that a lot of those guys had. And a lot of guys struggle too, though. I think a lot of guys struggle too. You got to think about the Paul Georges of the world and stuff like that. A lot of guys couldn't take it. But this, the bubble to me is the love of the game. I loved it. I mean, obviously I felt bad for those guys. I know it can be trying at times, but man, to be able to do what I love to do every day, and I'm chasing the championship, I know LeBron loved it because now you can keep everybody focused.
Right.
You don't got the distraction of the friends there, the girls there. I mean, I know they're still talking to them every day, but you don't have that distraction there. Guys can focus on hooping, get extra shots up. You ain't got to hey, where you going? You know what I'm saying? And it's cool. And it also builds team camaraderie. So I like that. I think that's something. I mean, I know you would enjoy it. I would have enjoyed it too. But that's only for a few guys. Everybody ain't built like that and love the game like we do.
Right. And I was telling people, that definitely helps a team when they're so close, doing things off the court, doing little
without question,
bowling events and stuff like that, like we used to, that would, bring us all together just personally, and how that, transitioned onto the court, how important that is. I guess you won't understand that until you are a part of one of those type of teams.
That's true. They won't. That's a special moment. I mean, our 96 team, that's why we all are still very close. I mean, I was a part of a special team in Miami. We used to say 15 strong. And, for the NBA, it's totally different because guys usually got their friends with them. They doing their own thing. But it was very seldom you wouldn't see in a row 6, 7 guys going to dinner when I was with the Heat, which was new to me. We go out, we go to the club, and it's 6, 7 guys on the team out. Like that's how we roll. Like that's what I think helped us get a championship because we was able to stay focused. We knew what the common goal was, and that's those things are very important to the team. And I think that's where LeBron James separates himself from everybody else in the league because he has a unique way of getting his teammates to believe that they're championship a type team. And whatever he does, like you said, whether it's going to different events, whether it's, cookouts, whatever LeBron's doing, he getting it done. And he's done that for his whole career. He's always been the one with handshakes with his players. All that shit take time. You know that. That take a little time to kind of thinking of creative handshakes and all that stuff. And LeBron does that. And I think that's what makes him special. But you hit the nail on the head. That's having team camaraderie on and off the court is what builds a championship.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you coming on, bro, man. It's definitely good seeing you.
Yes, sir, man.
I'm proud of you. Definitely enjoy watching your whole career, man, and getting that ring, especially in the NBA. Now you all levels or something like that, ain't you?
I'm in the elite category, big. No, thanks for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it, man. Keep working, man. We'll be back on here, man. We're gonna be back on here and talk about the doc and the book at a later note.
Definitely. Everybody that tuned in, make sure you like, subscribe to the Burner Turner Show, applepodcast.com. You can go on Spotify as well. Follow the Field of 68 Network.
Yes, sir. All right, my brother.